What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we're going to be taking a look at Deadpool in Marvel Snap, and I was super excited to pull Deadpool because he is one of my favorite Marvel characters, and I was also struggling with finding something to play after Nova was removed from the game, and Deadpool is one of the first Pool 3 cards that I was able to open up, and I think that there's a lot of interesting ways to build a Deadpool deck with no other cards from Pool 3. So if you're in a similar position to me, all you have is Deadpool, which is random, but I'm sure there are other people in this boat. You can make a pretty sweet deck with it, and I've been having a lot of fun with Deadpool. There's definitely some other things that you could potentially add into the deck as your collection increases, though we're going to take a look at what I have put together here. So first things first, we've got Deadpool, which is a 1-cost, 1-power card, and when it's destroyed, return it to your hand with double the power. So this kind of adds two interesting deck building elements into your deck. You're going to want ways to destroy your own cards, and you are going to want ways to increase the power of your own cards. So I'm playing a bunch of ways to increase the power of things. We'll take a look at those first. Those are pretty straightforward cards and quite good. Okoye, now a 1-cost, 1-power card. On reveal, give every card in your deck +1 power. By the way, if you want to just skip ahead over to the games, you're already familiar with the deck, I will leave a annotation for that below the video, so feel free to do that. We also have Forge in the deck, which doesn't see that much play, but we're definitely playing this deck a little bit more synergistically. Whereas Forge might not be that powerful compared to some of the other cards in the deck, giving +2 power to a Deadpool can work out very well, because then when you double the Deadpool, that's going to turn into +4 power, and you can get a lot more use out of that. So we're definitely working with Forge to have this be more than just +2 power. Try to make it more than just effectively a 2-3. A lot of times Forge winds up being like a 2-6 in this deck, and potentially even more, and we'll see why coming up. We're also playing Nakia, a very, very strong card. On reveal, give all cards in your hand +2 power. You're probably seeing a lot of Nakia on the ladder right now. This is just a very sweet card. And because of Nakia, sometimes I'll just throw this in here, and this will come up, I believe, in some of the games. I just recorded most of those now. You won't want to play Forge on turn 2. You'll want to wait a second, so that way you can play Nakia on turn 3, and then on turn 4, play Forge followed by some other stuff, like play Forge followed by Deadpool, and then Deadpool's a 1-5 that is ready to be destroyed. And speaking of destroyed, we'll take a look at the other cards in this destroy package here. We are just running the ones that you can get from pools 1 and 2. I do not have Venom, nor do I have Killmonger, but I could potentially consider those in the deck in the future as I unlock them. But Carnage is definitely a card that a lot of players are familiar with because it is just super cheap to destroy one of your own cards, and also a pretty strong card. Part of the reason that I said that the Forge can act as 6 power is because instead of just using it for 1 power, a lot of times you're feeding Forge into Carnage and pumping up Carnage with that. So that can be pretty strong. And then our other destroy effect is Deathlok. On reveal, destroy your other cards at this location. Pretty straightforward, just a 3-5. I could certainly see playing this over Venom in some situations, and this is also just good because on turn 3 you can run it out and just have it be a naked 3-5, and that can definitely contribute to just the power on your board overall. Also playing into this destroy theme is Bucky Barnes, which when destroyed becomes the Winter Soldier, which is just a 6-power unit. So turn 2 Bucky Barnes, turn 3 Deathlok, you've got 4 power. Or why did I say 4 power? Going into turn 4, you've got 11 power at that location. So that can obviously be really strong. You don't really care about buffs on Bucky Barnes as much as you care about them on Deadpool. So Bucky Barnes can definitely, that's like the best curve in this deck is Okoye, followed by Bucky Barnes, followed by Nakia, and then doing some other crazy stuff. One of the other things that you can do to make use of all of the buffs that this deck is running is Mr. Sinister. Pretty basic card and not like a super splashy card, but I think it's a card that some people forget about too. It's just a 2/2 that makes a clone of itself with the same power, and that means that the clone is going to receive any of the buffs that you give to Mr. Sinister. So Forge plus Mr. Sinister is going to give you a pair of 4/4s. If you can Nakia Mr. Sinister, again, pair of 4/4s, and you can stack all of these buffs as well. Then from there, we're just playing some powerful cards. I really love America Chavez, and I probably don't need to sing her praise. However, I think that in a deck like this specifically, a destroy deck that has synergies that you don't want to make use of on turn 6. Basically, if you draw Deadpool on turn 6, it's a completely dead draw. And even more to that point, drawing Carnage or Deathlok on turn 6 is a little bit awkward because it's not like you're going to still have time to replay Deadpool. So for that reason, drawing America Chavez on turn 6 is always really good, and it means that you don't have to waste your draws on Chavez before that, and you can draw some of your more synergistic combo pieces that work well together. We're also playing Jubilee. I think that Jubilee is just pretty fantastic with Chavez, and Jubilee does have some weird interactions with some of the other cards in the deck. However, for the most part, if you've played with Jubilee, you'll know that playing her on turn 4 or turn 5 just has a really high probability of hitting Chavez, at which point you're just paying 4 for 11 power, which is just too good of a rate to pass up. And one other thing that we are doing in the deck, another pretty common and just powerful card, is Shang-Chi. You're going to see me make use of this in a few of the games. I think that Shang-Chi is, again, just like a really powerful card that it's no surprise to see this in any decks. However, I do think that this deck has some additional power with Shang-Chi than some other decks might. And basically that comes down to the Deadpool of it all. And we'll also talk about this a little bit when we talk about Gamora, but basically, when you are playing Shang-Chi in a, like, you think about it in like a wave deck or a ramp deck or something like that, it's a little bit awkward to get off the ground because you are not going to be able to play something else in the same turn that you play Shang-Chi. It's just turn 6 Shang-Chi, hope that that's enough. Similarly, or on the other side of the spectrum, in an aggro deck, you might just not want Shang-Chi because it is not able to really fill out your curve in a way that you like if you draw it early or something like that. So I think that in this deck, what Shang-Chi really has going for it is that on your final turn, there are a few different 2-drops that you can play, like Mr. Sinister plus Shang-Chi, I think we'll see in one of the later games. But then also just Deadpool plus Shang-Chi can really help you just secure 2 different lanes in some really powerful ways. So that's a lot of fun. And similarly, Gamora, I think, is an underutilized card that works very well with Shang-Chi, or works very well with Deadpool rather. So typically, you're going to be looking to play Jubilee on 4 or 5, and then you're going to be looking to Chavez with the Jubilee. From there, you don't really have a good turn 6 play, but there are actually games where you draw Chavez on turn 6, and Chavez is 6 for 10. Gamora is also basically 6 for 10, because you play it on the final turn, it secures the lane that you need it to secure, and then gets +4 power, so it goes up to 10. And a lot of times with Chavez, that's it. Or with Gamora, rather, that's it. That's your whole turn. And I think that what Deadpool does is it just gives you a whole bunch of power for only 1 coin. So finding some good 5 drops to play along that, I think, are really synergistic in an interesting way. I could certainly see playing Iron Man in this slot, though I've always just had a lot of fun with Gamora, and that's why I decided to run it here. I will go over, I guess, just 2 other things that I tried in the deck. I didn't really like Nova now that it's been nerfed down to 1 power. I thought that it just wasn't worth the squeeze. I could certainly see playing Scarlet Witch or additional tech cards potentially over Jubilee. I could see playing Enchantress. I could see playing Cosmo. Maybe you could even get away with playing Armor, though that one is a little bit more sketchy. Sentinel, probably not what you want to do in the deck, but one thing that I think was also interesting I tried out for a second was Hulkbuster, or Hulkbuster rather, and I wanted to warn you off of this card. It seems like it's cool. You merge this card with a random friendly card at this location. So you play Deadpool, then you slap on the Hulkbuster, and then you have a 5 power Deadpool. So when it dies, it will go up to 10. It will double the bonus that the Hulkbuster brings as well, but it will also cost 4. Because when you merge Hulkbuster with another card, you also merge the costs together. So that's just one other thing to keep in mind. I think I'm going to jump into the games now. I'll just scroll through my collection a little bit. But yeah, Deadpool was the first Pool 3 card that I've picked up, and was able to play it a whole bunch and unlock some more cards, and just overall have a bunch of fun with the game. So I just recorded a bunch of games with live commentary just a few minutes ago and wanted to show off some of the power of the pool. So let's take a look now at some of these cards in action to see some of the powerful things that this deck can do. And we're going to be starting off with a few of the namesake cards in the deck with Bucky Barnes, Deadpool, and Carnage. So a very cool start here. And we definitely would love to draw like Nakia on turn 3, maybe Okoye on turn 1 would have been the best draw. On turn 2, it's a little bit awkward, but I think we can still make it work because we can go turn 3, Forge Deadpool, turn 4, Bucky Carnage. So I think that's going to be fine, and I think I will just play to the Strange Academy, planning on eating everything there. Let's just play Okoye now to get a few more pumps up on everything in the deck. And what do we get here? Okay, Monster Island. So probably not going to be Monchin in that location. Let's go Forge Deadpool this turn, and then, yeah, like I said, the following turn we'll play Bucky Carnage, and feel pretty decent about that. We would like to draw our Shang-Chi, but for now I think that this is a good start that will give us a decent amount of power. We'd also like to draw Deathlok now that we're going to have a 6 power Deadpool, so that won't be a bad one either, but for right now let's just do this. Next turn we're probably just playing Jubilee plus Deadpool into the Avengers compound, and then our Carnage and Bucky are going to go to Monster Island. That still leaves us 1 space for Shang-Chi. And I guess I should play Deadpool followed by Jubilee just in case we hit the Deathlok. I haven't heard that sound yet. Oh, okay. Well, Gamora is pretty fantastic as well as a turn 5 play. Actually, you know what? This is a good turn 6 play now as well. Huh. That's interesting. I think we're still just going to fill the compound. Could get a little bit risky, but I'm assuming that we are going to hope to draw either Deathlok, in which case we return our Deadpool to our hand, and that's still very good, or we get the Chavez here. with a 50-50 shot to draw either of those. So let's see what happens. Do we want to snap before that happens? We're going to be winning on Monster Island. I'm going to throw in a snap. I feel like we've drawn well enough this game. Okay, and a snap's just going to make my opponent retreat, so fair enough. But I think that we still did some nice stuff this game. It was a good introductory game to the deck, just to show off like how you'll typically like to curve out and play things out there. But yeah, pretty sweet game. Let's jump into another one. I wonder how much merit there is to just snapping the second you see a Monster Island and bluffing Shang-Chi. But obviously we didn't have it in the last one, but kind of funny, because that's what I would suspect if I were to see a Monster Island snap myself. So nothing on turn one, and we can't play into the Hellfire Club, but we could play into the Danger Room. That seems totally fine. I'm just going to run out Bucky Barnes in Danger Room, and no real risk there. Doesn't wind up proccing for us, but still a very cute idea. And then we get Kamar as our third location, and Nakia plus Forge. Is that enough to snap? It's enough to snap for my opponent. Well, it seems like they're on a discard deck, right? Wolverine works with discard too. They probably just also have Nakia? I'm not sure, but we're gonna go for this. Oh, they're snapping because they have armor. Okay, that's fine. We can find some other fun things to do with the fact that we just gave everything in my hand such huge bonuses here. Now it is a little bit awkward. Is that we can't put Deadpool in the Hellfire Club, and we also can't put Deadpool in the Danger Room. But now we can put something like Gamora into the Danger Room with absolutely no risk. So I don't think that's horrible. The only question is, do we want to Forge in Kamar, knowing that we're going to, or believing that we're going to Carnage the Deadpool still, potentially? Could also just... Alright, let's do this. We're here to show off Deadpool. Let's show it off. It's a little bit late, which makes it a little bit awkward. But I think we can make this work. Opponent goes Jubilee. I'd love for them to hit Chavez, because then they're just way overcommitted to the Danger Room. And we can use Gamora plus Deadpool Carnage to just really gain our own type of advantage elsewhere. So the plan here is to just Carnage and Kamartage, grab a 10-power Deadpool, and then I guess that means that I want to put way too... because I can't put the Deadpool in the Hellfire Club. So Deadpool's got to come back here. Deadpool could also win in the Danger Room, potentially, eventually. For right now, we can play a 6-power Carnage. It's a little bit weak. My opponent probably just going to try to win Hellfire Club at this point. And we're going to draw Chavez this turn. Oh, my opponent going to go for... Okay. My opponent going for a Infinite, which unfortunately means that we lose unless they play Infinite in Kamartage, which they would have no reason to, because we can Deadpool in Kamartage and we can't Deadpool here. So, knowing that, my opponent has to play Infinite in Hellfire Club, at which point Gamora plus Deadpool is just enough to win in the Danger Room. And I don't think I'm going to snap, because then they might know that they have to play in Kamartage. But I think this has a shot to take it. The other thing that we could do... Oh, I like this play. This play is much better because my opponent has priority right now. So we beat Infinite here, and we beat Infinite here because Shang-Chi will kill it. Actually, I think we could snap to that.
Oh, snap.
Cool line. Cool line. Okay, so now either location they drop Infinite, we win both of the other non-Danger Room locations. There's Infinite, and Deadpool is going to beat Infinite, and then we've got Shang-Chi, so we were totally covered. I thought that if we snapped, they would throw the Infinite in Kamar, and then once I realized that, well, I think it was just realizing that I had Shang-Chi in my hand. But that game really showed the power of Deadpool, I think. Even in a scenario where my opponent had a hate card for us, and they were able to neuter our Bucky Barnes. Whoever has the least power here wins. Doesn't really seem like something I can take advantage of at all with this deck. Danger Room is, though. I could just run out the Deadpool into the Danger Room. It's not the craziest idea. Could also just play the Mr. Sinister, assuming that one of them will die. Next turn we play Deadpool Carnage. Following turn we play like Jubilee or something. Yeah, seems reasonable. That's fine. It's gonna happen. Just gives a little bit extra power to Carnage, which is gone. Okay, okay. And I kind of have to split with the Okoye because I need to leave myself room to Jubilee one of these two locations. My opponent playing in the bar with no name. We get our Deadpool back. That's fun. What are they possibly playing there? Storm. Okay, okay, so that lets them control the location. That's fair, that's fair. I don't hate Deadpool Deathlok. It gives us a 1 power 4 cost. The other play is Jubilee. Both are plays that turn the location into our favor. Otherwise, next turn I'm probably playing Jubilee. Plus Deadpool, and then following turn I'll play Gamora. Jubilee's also very good in Danger Room, so I could appreciate it there. And this wins the location, but just barely, which still makes them commit another card, and still I'm developing my other locations because I've got a Deadpool. So they committed a whole bunch over here, which I think is pretty good for us now. And we'll take the Deadpool. I'm just going to play Deadpool and Jubilee into Danger Room. Maybe Deadpool dies. Maybe Jubilee dies. Both of those things are totally fine. We actually get a tie in the flooded zone. So this is going to be a really close game. And if Deadpool dies in the Danger Room, that seems fine to me. All right, Deadpool, how'd you do? Dead? Nice. And Jubilee going to bring us Chavez. Nice. My opponent gets a vision, which will allow them to swing the flooded location. Fair enough. That means they're probably going to play into Sakaar. So we probably want Gamora into Sakaar. I don't really see how they can try to swing the Danger Room at the last second. So I think we're just going to commit fully to Sakaar. Okay, yeah. My opponent has to retreat there. I was trying to think of what my opponent could possibly have, but even with a win in this location, the power that Gamora plus Deadpool brings on the final turn, and of course, they don't know about the Gamora, but they do know about the Deadpool, and they know that for 1 energy, I'm going to be up in this location by 10 power, at which point they're going to have a lot of work to do, because I've got 5 energy to spend, they've got 6, but I'm already up by 10. So even if they play Chavez, I only have to play literally Squirrel Girl, and I will win the game. So I think that was still a pretty good showing for Deadpool. Kind of weird because we lost Carnage, but we were able to make use of the Danger Room to a beneficial way, and we were still able to Deathlock the Deadpool as well. So a little bit more of a natural Deadpool destruction, not really buffing it up in any crazy ways either, but still doing some powerful stuff with it. Alrighty, starting with Tinker's Workshop is not too terrible. It means that we can go actually have a really nice curve of Bucky into Forge into Deadpool Carnage. So I really, really like this start for us, actually. And there's some other locations that could make this even more powerful. And I think I will play... yeah, it's kind of tough. I'm definitely set up to play in the Tinker's Workshop now that I've played the Bucky. As is my opponent, though. The other idea here is that we can save this Bucky for later and potentially come back to it. And I think if we can win Asgard, we'll draw the Deathlok and then be able to activate this Bucky on turn 5, potentially. Or turn 6, now that there is a 7th turn in this game. The fact that there's a 7th turn definitely makes me want to play Okoye. However, for now on this turn, I'm just going to play Carnage. I'm definitely going to try to play Okoye along with Deadpool next turn to pump up my deck before I draw 2 cards. But this gives me really good odds to hit Asgard and potentially even just bully my opponent away from Asgard with the fact that they know I have Deadpool as a potential drop here. Now, that said, dropping Deadpool in Asgard means that I cannot play the Deadpool into Deathlok. So what's more important, drawing 2 cards and having those cards, because another play could just be, I guess I definitely want to play Okoye this turn, which makes me also kind of just want to play Deadpool. And I think that this is fair. Yeah, I think this is a good way to play it. All right, my opponent dodged this location, which I thought that they would do anyways, but I wanted to lock it up and guarantee that I get the 2 cards. My opponent going to Nakia, which is nice with Limbo for sure. We're going to get Jubilee and Deathlok that will run out over the next few turns ourselves. So I definitely like playing Jubilee. I have to check. With only 2 cards in our deck, though, there's not actually a huge incentive to play Jubilee. Because we're going to draw Chavez next turn, and then we are going to draw Mr. Sinister on our final turn regardless. So it's good to figure out our curve right now. Next turn, kind of want to play Deathlok Nakia, which means the final turn, then we can Sinister and Shang-Chi. Which means I'm Gamora-ing right now. And I think I just Gamora here, despite the fact that my opponent has Angela and is pretty likely to play into that. I just want to play Deathlok here. And I think that that is fine. If my opponent gets a huge Angela or a huge Bishop, either of those can be cheed. And I guess... maybe I go Deathlok plus Shang-Chi, actually. And use this time right now to play Chavez, because Nakia isn't going to be pumping up anything that we'd be playing, realistically. So Chavez is probably the best use of our coin. This is going to make them battle in Asgard. Which I keep calling it Asgard, by the way. Okay. But now we can Chi Chavez, and actually we can Chi Bishop too. So this is a great final turn for us. If they move Nightcrawler out of Angela here, then we get to win that location, and I think we just won the game. Definitely a weird one, but a cool one. Getting to draw our whole deck and having an extra turn definitely presents some interesting options, and is made a little bit silly when you're no longer making use of your double Deadpool. But I think that this is all really, really strong. Now we get to Shang-Chi, both the Bishop and the Chavez, so we win in Asgard, and we're winning in Limbo. So that's all that really matters. However, we will give a presence to the Tinkerer's Workshop as well. It's not going to be enough of a presence, 12 to 21, but we'll win with Shang-Chi, and that's all that really matters there. And that's going to be enough to take the game. This deck definitely, I think Shang-Chi is just like a really powerful card in general, but I think one of the strong parts of this deck is really just the fact that you can Shang-Chi and then still make another really powerful play with Deadpool in the same turn. And yeah, this was a sweet one. I'm happy that we were able to record this. Played a bunch of games of Asgard with Asgard as a location, but most of those were like against bots, or I had one game, my last game, I like disconnected halfway through, so kind of awkward, but I'm glad that I was able to show off how this deck is also able to battle and bully for Asgard in the early turns of the game. And there's multiple ways you can do that. Jubilee is also a way. Forge plus Mr. Sinister is also a way. So a lot of different ways to do that, but this was doing it with Deadpool, the namesake of the deck. So pretty cool. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. But before I go, I did want to share this screenshot of a huge location high roll with Cloning Vats and Elysium. Both of those are really, really good locations for this deck. And then Dark Dimensional, I'll say what's under that in a second. Yeah, Cloning Vats, just being able to replay Deadpool and replay Carnage every turn, especially when that combination of cards only costs you one. That is just really, really powerful. And then from there, I just had a bunch of Deadpools in my hand. Got one up to 16 and found a bunch of other ones. It's actually kind of funny because you play the Deadpool, that same one comes back to your hand, and then you Carnage your Deadpool, and then the doubled one comes back to your hand. So you actually generate a bunch of Deadpools doing this strategy, and that can wind up being a bunch of fun. I played all of these cards actually on the last turn because all of the Deadpools cost 0 and the Carnage only costs 1, so I'm about to blow up this Bucky and have even just a little bit more power at this location. And then this location contains another Deadpool. I just threw one of my 2-power Deadpools here, and then it also has a Jubilee that can still hit a America Chavez, and it's got one other thing, which at this point I forget, but you can tell that this game was just an insane high roll. Maybe I will record some more with this or potentially stream with it in the future. I could potentially do some post commentary like I do with Storybook Brawl and some other games, which would give a little bit more control or curation over which games I wind up showcasing, because I am not always able to record all of the times when I am playing Marvel Snap. But yeah, just wanted to leave you guys on this one last image, and let me know if you open up a Deadpool, if you've had any success with it, or maybe now you can try out this deck and try it for yourself. But that is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.